Welcome to the Cowpark Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in from the back cave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
You know what it is, man. Tuesday, which means it's time to get together with my boy to make another great episode of the Cowpot Bros podcast. So I'm ready to go, ready to take this the final episode of 2021, Terrence. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening. This is episode 37 of the Cowpark Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cowpark Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of culture, current events, sports, life, and entertainment.
And as always, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason, and every single Thursday, we bring to you a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, make sure you're always connecting with us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok under the handle Cowpart Bros or Cowpart Bros Podcast, just for more behind the scenes of the show and to engage with us every single day. But also, don't forget that the Cowpart Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Like Terrence said earlier, we are the podcast to hear and watch. So make sure you live it, love it, and do it.
All right. Coming up in segment one, we're going to be talking about the news coming out of a lot of metropolitan areas. Number one is metropolitan areas like Chicago and Boston will require proof of vaccination in indoor settings right as we embark on a new year. I'm referencing an article from NPR. Rachel Tressman was the journalist and says Chicago and Boston will require proof of vaccination in indoor settings. Residents of Chicago and Boston will soon be required to show proof of full vaccination in order to enter indoor spaces like gyms, restaurants, and entertainment venues, in the latest example of cities tightening public health rules to combat the spread of the Omicron variant. The Chicago Department of Public Health announced Tuesday, that beginning January 3rd, the city will require everyone ages 5 and up to be fully vaccinated in order to access indoor dining, fitness, and recreation venues. They must present either their vaccination card, a photocopy of it, a digital record, or a printed record from their vaccine provider. And I quote, to put it simply, if you've been living vaccine free, your time is up. Mayor Lori Lightfoot wrote on Twitter, if you wish to live life as with the ease to do the things you must be vaccinated. This health order may pose an inconvenience to the unvaccinated, but it is in fact it is inconvenient by design. The order will remain in effect until city officials have determined the threat of COVID-19 to public health to be diminished significantly, she added. This, of course, is coming as Chicago has seen its highest number of hospitalizations since last winter 2020 surge, and its highest rate of deaths in months, Lightfoot said, adding that a post-holiday surge in cases is expected. So I want to continue just a little bit more from this article because it continues further. As for the fine print, and the devil is always in the details, right? The order defines fully vaccinated as 2 weeks after either one shot of a single dose vaccine or the second shot of an mRNA vaccine series. Proof of vaccination is not required for employees of such businesses, but mass and weekly negative tests are. The order does not apply to places like houses of worship, grocery stores, schools, locations such as residential or office buildings, and the airport. In announcing this decision, the article continues, Chicago's health department said the order was driven in part by the Omicron variant and is in line with existing requirements in large cities like New York and Los Angeles. LA started this in November, by the way. And New York required proof of vaccination for indoor settings since early August of this year. So, Jason, having read this now, what are your thoughts?
So I'm glad you read that part about New York and LA, because going way back in August, we talked about this. When New York started it back in August, you and I both mentioned that it was only a matter of time before more cities started doing it. I think at that time there were rumblings about LA, or at least one county in LA, wanting to do this. And you and I both mentioned that it was only a matter of time before the third largest market in the country, Chicago, would do the same. I didn't necessarily think it would take 4 months or 5 months when they start doing it. But here we are. Um, like you said, though, it was all. Uh, and we kind of hinted towards this yesterday, that it was all because of what's going on with the Omicron variant in Chicago and probably the country as well, as opposed to Delta playing a part for New York and LA and other cities as well. Um, so, with that being said, I'm sure you're the same. I can't be surprised this is happening. Um, I didn't realize that Chicago was having a huge a spike in hospitalizations. Didn't recognize that. Um, so, along with that, makes sense. Um, and per something we mentioned yesterday in our meeting, I think not that public health and safety isn't an issue, but I think also it's a means to an end to make sure that we're not, or I shouldn't say we, but Chicago isn't going back into any kind of shutdown. They can just require people to be vaccinated and leave it at that. They can rely on that. Um,
I don't think shutdowns are happening.
because
Uh,
because of what I was just saying the other day is that because cities like this, and we'll go into the other cities as well, because cities like Chicago can now rely on, we can just make everybody be vaccinated to do this stuff. We don't have to shut anything down. And also very glad that you read that part in the article as well. But it's designed to be an inconvenience to people that are vaccinated, unvaccinated. It's pretty clear. Even when Biden did his thing, even when New York and LA are doing their thing, and it's really what it is. They're just designed to be an inconvenience, try to pigeonhole and force people into getting the vaccine, which is what it is at this point. No longer mad about it no more because it is what it is. Um, I don't really think it's going to change anybody's mind when it comes to getting vaccinated or not. I mean, maybe a small percentage, but in the end of the day, I think it's just a sign of where we're at with this third variant. Even though it's not as supposedly as severe as Delta, people are still getting and spreading around. So this is going to create a little bit of a scare in people, and here we are.
I don't know if I'm afraid of the Omicron variant.
Well, because you're already vaccinated,
No,
and you're not standing to lose any money. Or when I say this thing, I'm referring to scaring really when it comes to government officials, things like that within a certain city or state in some cases. That's what I'm referring to, not necessarily the citizens per se. That's what I mean. Yeah, of course you're not going to be scared because you already have that magic pill of the vaccination. So yeah, I get it.
respectfully,
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you can say I don't stand to lose any money because much of the economy is predicated on whether or not we can conduct certain events, certain types of events, at the cadence that we had previously. I mean, there have been entire fucking businesses and types of services that people were accustomed to that have been wiped out in the last 2 years. And so while I'm not afraid of the variant, I am aware of the opportunity to slide backwards, but I'm also we are not 100% back to where we were as far as the economy is concerned. Um, and I'm just stating that from a perspective of in my area of expertise, there's still some concern. It is not, you know, 100% back to normal. It's damn sure not 100% back to normal as far as travel's concerned. I mean, that's why the CDC, if things were back to normal, we would have kept the 10-day rule about quarantining. The CDC effectively reducing that from 10 to 5. That's basically saying, yo, this economy's on the fucking ropes.
Or is it because Omicron's not as serious, so you can quarantine for less time because it's not Delta or Alpha?
And also, the point of clarification: there have been more than three variants. It's just that some of those three variants are getting more pub.
Okay.
So I just want to offer up that perspective because I saw this. I saw this on Twitter earlier today. The CDC basically said, if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck.
Reminding people who sung that song, sir.
I don't need to remind people. They got the Googles. But
Did you just say the Googles?
yes, I did. But the point is, there are absolutely some concessions being made in the interest of public health because people don't want the equivalent of a Lehman Brothers situation in '08. These people are scared to fucking death that this economy is going to fall off a cliff, and so they will literally use your average essential worker and say, "Yeah, we'll literally run you into a fucking buzzsaw if it means saving this thing." So I don't look at any of these measures as 100% altruistic. I think a lot of it is just conceding to reality. The economy's on the ropes. You got a lot of people that one may not be feel 100%. Listen, I don't feel 100% safe doing any damn thing. So, I don't believe in magic pills for for COVID. I don't believe in magic pills for almost anything. But I do think that some of these measures may not necessarily be 100% altruistic, but damn it, they may not also necessarily be against people's best interests as far as this is concerned. So we got a delicate tightrope to walk as a country.
I mean, I don't know anything about the tightrope situation there, but like you're saying though, you kind of, I think you kind of said it a little differently than I did, which I get it. But essentially, like I was saying, what are just keep it on Chicago, even though it's not just them. What are they relying on to kind of help fix the economy, or not to help fix the economy, but help keep it not going backwards? Relying on the vaccine.
You're
And like,
relying on a battery of things to hopefully mitigate this.
name another
Like,
that's not the vaccine.
I mean, bro, I'm not going to go back and forth with you about other measures.
All I said was
um,
name one. I'm not saying we have to have a 12-point discussion on it or anything.
like
I'm not saying you brought
you
it up,
got access to the same shit.
but you
For,
said it, so that's what I was asking. Okay.
no, what I'm telling you is you saying it. You the one not getting the jab. So allegedly, you already using those other measures. Remember?
Well, apparently those aren't good enough for Chicago, L.A., New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, D.C. Yes, folks, those are all cities that have instituted, you know, not that they're the only ones, but they're definitely cities that have instituted their similar type things as Chicago and Boston now when it comes to having to be fully vaxxed to do, some measure of indoor events, whether it be all events or just restaurants or whatever. All those cities are on there. Washington, D.C. is about to join as well. Chicago, Boston, Philly, New York, San Fran, New Orleans. Again, there are other little small towns doing the same thing as well, in some way, shape, or form. And not to mention, businesses on their own within those cities can also, at their own discretion, have done this as well, which is, their decisions, their business is what it is. But well, I'm just saying that it's an easy thing to rely on from a city perspective, not me, to say, hey, we don't want the economy going backwards. We need to keep these businesses open, but we want to keep people safe. And people, again, you can't see this yet, but I'm pulling up the air quotes there. We want to keep people safe. So let's just say, hey, you can't use this business or the type of business without being fully vaxxed. Or in some cases, I've seen some of these cities if you don't have at least one dose already. So one dose of the jab, as Terrence like to keep calling it. So
the the ordinance in these municipalities is almost as interesting from where the requirements are being instituted as where the requirements aren't being instituted.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, for example, it says the order doesn't apply to houses of worship, grocery stores, schools, and locations such as residential or office buildings and the airport. Now, there could be a variety of reasons for why that is. For example, some of those areas may have already been covered under things like the previous Biden administration um, OSHA regulation regarding businesses with 100 or more employees. I don't know.
I do want to point out an article that I found from ABC7 in Chicago that there are a decent number of restaurants in Chicago who are asking for more, more time for this mandate is becoming effective. Like we were reading before, it's going to be effective on January 3rd, which is Monday coming up. And these restaurants, I believe, there's a petition signed by at least 30 people or restaurants saying, "Hey, give us till the 15th so we have time to actually train people or hire people and train them if we need to." Um, there was a restaurant in this article that I don't think I need the name. Basically, they're saying that hey, there's no one currently on our staff that's going to be able to do this, so we need to get people hired and trained. Otherwise, all we have to do right now is put some teenager outside checking people's IDs or bats cards in this case, and we just don't simply have the manpower currently to do that. But it's going to take us time to do that. We're not going to be able to do this before Monday. And this article I mentioned is from yesterday, so I can imagine based on when this was announced, which was last week around the 22nd, I believe, when I saw it, and January 3rd. So basically 2 weeks. I can see that easily for some restaurants. It's not going to be feasible for them to be able to do this and stay in accordance with the mandate. So I'm sure there's going to be hefty fines for restaurants that don't, you know, comply to this. I'm sure restaurants want to do that. So um, now, obviously, it's up to Chicago to actually extend it. And when we would say Chicago, we obviously mean Lori Lightfoot, and we all know how that can go. No offense to Lori Lightfoot, I don't know her. I don't live in Chicago, but I've heard things. So um, we'll see. But now, also though, too, I also found an article from Yahoo that mentioned that even though this mandate that we're talking about is based on Chicago, the city of Chicago, however, Cook County suburbs also are going to be following the same measure as well. So for those of you listening to this, you live in Cook County, even though it's not Chicago, like i.e. Cal Park, for example, you're going to be subject to the same thing. So uh, looking at this article here, doesn't mention the date, but likely it's going to be very similar, if not the exact same to the Chicago one. So if not aware, definitely check out that information and go from there. I know you and I talked about that as long as you don't live in Chicago, you're good. If you're in Cook County, which is the county Chicago's in, which is the largest county in that area, then you're gonna be under the same boat. So, FYI to all the folks of Cal Park, Blue Island, and everywhere else around the county. There you go. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point. Number one, businesses already dealing with a objectively difficult labor crisis. Um, you can't listen. These places can barely handle a party at 8, and now they're supposed to um, effectively be the vaccine bouncer. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm saying it it will make dining more difficult. Um, yeah, well, hell, it'll make all of those things more difficult.
But that's the whole point, right?
That's not the point.
You
It's
sure?
just
The
I don't
article
believe.
the article we said it was by design to make it more difficult for the unvaxxed. Did the article not say that?
Yeah, but making it more difficult for the unvaccinated is not the same as necessarily recognizing an impact from additional mitigation measures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also think it's going to be interesting to see. Listen, I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. Uh, you could be the mayor of Chicago. Hell, you could be the may the mayor of Mayberry for all I care. all of these all of these ordinances are nothing without enforcement.
Fair point.
Um, and so my hope is that instead of trying to instead of trying to fight businesses on, oh well, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. I almost It's easy to make something like that a requirement if one, you don't give people time to actually ramp up to even try and comply with it. And then two, are you going to subject them to the same, for example, oh, someone has a fake ID? I don't know.
Probably.
Sadly, sadly, we've already documented people doctoring vaccination records.
Which, yeah, again, I agree. Also, we know what happens. We've talked about Antonio Brown before. We mentioned people using fake vax cards to travel to like Hawaii and whatnot. Which, uh, not that I'm encouraging anyone to do that, but I can see that if you're using a fake vax card to go get your local Thai food around the corner, then no disrespect, but or no offense, and we know what that means, then you're an idiot. You know, um, yeah. So yeah, yeah. I just had to say that because again, I agree with you. It's hilarious. People are willing to go to that measure, use a fake vax card just to go to their favorite restaurant.
The
But
the
people are going to
effort
do it. So
the effort that you people are trying to put into faking vaccination records, like bro, you realize you could have just like walked into fucking Walgreens and just gotten the shot, right? Like I'm
or not even that. You can order in. They can deliver it. You know, yeah, yeah. I mean, because again, at this point, like I said before several times on the show, if by this point, after like we said, a year of the vaccines, if you haven't gotten it, then you probably have no desire to get it. And stuff like this, for a small percent, for most people, probably isn't going to encourage them to get it. Oh,
well
I want to go
well
to my favorite restaurant now, and I don't want to miss out. Let me go get the jab. That's probably not gonna be the case, bro.
well to quote Pip Names Slickback, has not smacking a bitch worked so far.
I am not even going to begin to attempt to make a comment regarding that, sir.
I mean, we tried all the nice ways. Tommy Dubois gonna have to get it together and say, you know what, today's the day. Yeah, I think
Uh,
I
uh,
think
uh,
I, I think I think what it boils down to is that sooner or later the person doing the least in the group project sooner or later has the ante up. So we'll see what happens.
I'm not going to agree with that. But one thing, real quick, do want to throw out there, as per our usual COVID topic, COVID number update. Um, it seems like every time we talk about this, we go up another percent. So now we're at 62% of the total population of the United States is fully vaccinated, and that number is probably going to grow potentially because when it comes to the number of people who have got at least one dose, who are 5 and over, we're at 77, basically 78%. So some of that are people who got the one dose are going to get the second one, but some of that's probably those kids who haven't got their second dose yet. Um, so there we are. The number's going to go up again. Not encouraging people to get the vaccine. That's up to you. But that's where we're at in this country. It wouldn't shock me if at some point we will be 70% people fully vaccinated in this country. And remind me, Terrence, is that not the number that supposedly we needed for herd immunity? So
Yeah, I'm not even referencing herd immunity because
I'm just bringing that up to say that was the goal, was at some point to get the, well, technically it was 60 to 70%. But even if you
yeah,
wanted to get if you want to get to 70, if we're going to get there, at that point then is really all this mandate stuff really, is there really a point to it? Again, that's rhetorical. That's not. It's not. I'm not trying to debate that. I'm just saying, putting
good,
that. I'm just.
good.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. I'm just saying. If that was not the goal, if 7 out of 10 people are vaccinated, is there really a point to try to keep forcing everybody else to get it after that? That's what I'm gonna say. If 7 out of 10 are fully vaccinated, yeah, there you go.
If 7 out of 10 are vaccinated, and yet here we are still dealing in COVID year 3, like the fucking Star Wars prequels,
Well,
then
first off, we're not at 70 yet. Number one.
so you're quoting a future that hasn't happened yet, and so we'll,
Well, for one,
I'm operating in
I said twice while I was reading those numbers. We're not at 70 yet, did I not?
my point is, don't even count that fucking chicken and knowing we ain't even got the eggs yet.
Well, hell, even at 6 out of 10, same thing. That number's still growing. And we just started giving these to people who are above 5, and now they're still working on people giving it to people who are 0 to 5. So even more so, if that ever gets approved, then you can almost call it a shoe in that we're going to be above 70%. So again, something to monitor. Like we always say, hopefully we do not get to December of next year and we're still at pandemic level of the COVID-19 disease, the global bastard, as some people have called it. But yeah, but it is what it is. As of right now, we're still dealing with it, still pandemic level. We'll see where we are next December. Hopefully, we're not talking about this anymore. It'll be a thing of the past, and that's it.
All
Until the next
right.
pandemic, anyway.
That concludes our segment on the new metropolitan vaccine requirements in Chicago and Boston. Coming up next in segment 2, we're going to be talking about the Anjanette Young settlement regarding the Chicago Police Department. Coming up next on Cal Park Rose.